We've got ourselves a few knives here to grind some profiles into. So I'm going to do this a couple different ways. I'm going to use my flat platen for some parts, and then a contact wheel for other parts. When you use a contact wheel, there's a lot of advantages to it. First is that it doesn't build up heat like a platen does. Second is you avoid the wear on your platen, because we all know that the platen plate will wear when you're grinding on it. So there are definite advantages to using a contact wheel, and I'll show you how to set that up when I get to it. But we have our brisket knife, our santoku, our chef, and our paring. So for the paring, I have a template here that I use for my 3.5-inch paring knives. It makes it so that it's a repeatable pattern, and I get it the same every time. I also do that with my little feller knife that I do. So that way when somebody orders one of these, it's going to be the same as the last one as far as shape goes. And then for my 6.5-inch chef, I also have a template that I use. This one's going to be 8 inches, but what I do want to use on this one is the handle, because I want all these handles to be the same because it's a set. So with this brisket, I'm just going to eyeball this and get it to where I want it by look. Same with my chef, because technically I could put this on it and copy it, but this is an 8, this is a 6.5. So, and I could shift it all the way to the front and then kind of drag it down like that, whatever. But I've done enough of these that I can just eyeball it and it's going to look the same. And then the paring, I'm obviously going to transfer the design on there. And then the santoku, I'm just going to eyeball that one as well. So let's scoot on over to the grinder and we'll get going on this. The first thing we're going to do is run these through the surface grinder for 2 reasons. First reason is I want to flatten up a side and get some bare metal so that I can transfer my design, my handle onto this one. And then second reason is to reduce the thickness, because these are obviously way too thick. We're probably 3/16 of an inch thickness on these, and we need to be down under 1/8 of an inch. So I've got the trusty Broadbeck surface grinder, and in my opinion, if I was to do it again, I would not get the Broadbeck surface grinder. They really make it out to be much better than it is, much more accurate than it is. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a lot of play in this thing, which to me makes it not accurate. And the second problem is their magnet setup. So there are companies that make these that you put the workpiece on it and then you engage the magnet, which makes it so you can actually get this thing off of it. So when this is laying flat this way and you have no place to grab it, you cannot get it off of here without some pliers or a hammer to push it off. Then it just scrapes up the aluminum. So what I do is I've got some thin pieces of G10 that I put on here to make the magnets a little less strong, which again, this heats up, it warps. So again, you're not really getting a super accurate surface grind, but it's what I have and I make it work. So again, if I was to do this again, I would not get the Broadbeck. I'd get another brand that has the magnets that engage. Just my 2 cents. So I put an 80 grit on, and now I just want to grind at a different angle to make sure there's no bumps or anything. Not that it matters too much, but just part of my process. You can see right here where this was a little bit thicker because the width of the surface grinder is only 2 inches. So I kind of have to move it back and forth. And every now and again I miss a little chunk. So it's one reason why I do this. Got these all marked up with the blue Dykem. So I'm going to start with this guy right here. I'm just going to make a nice straight edge along the back. And then a straight edge along the bottom. And we're going to put, let's see here, measure this. Yeah, we're about where we want there. And then I'm going to angle it toward the front. And then if you have one of these handy drafting circle templates, you can kind of help draw your circle on here. So we're right in between the right size. So that way you get a nice pretty curve along the front there. And then I'm going to use this handle to get my handle shape. See if I can get this right. Because I want all the handles to look alike. And I can eyeball it, but they're not all going to be identical. They'd be close, but not really all the same. So that's about where we want on that one. And then this one, I'm just going to trace the handle on here, because the rest of it I'm just going to eyeball. Let's see if I can get this to be where I want it here. There. And then the rest I'm just going to eyeball. And then same with the Santoku. Just got to get the handle on here, the handle shape. Let's see here. Okay, we got plenty on there. This is supposed to be a 6-inch Santoku. So bring it forward a little bit. Here we got the handle shape on that. And then the paring knife, we're just gonna do the whole shape with my little template that I've got. Maybe. Yep, we're good. And then I might actually do something with the back side of this, because this handle isn't really exactly like this. I might do something with the back side just to make it a little closer to the same. There we go. I've got these laid out, so now it's time to go back over to the grinder and I'll show you how I do this. Okay, when shaping with the contact wheel, you want the tangent or the apex, the vertex, whatever the crap it's called. Basically the tallest point from the middle, so that when you're grinding on your knife, you're not leaving an angle. So like if you were to do it up here, you'd be cutting it at an angle this way. If you were doing it low, you'd be cutting an angle that way. You want it at the very apex so that it's going to be slightly dished, but you're not going to be able to tell. It's going to basically look flat. So to do that, if you grab something flat, which my straight edge really has a little bit of a bow to it, so this will be off a hair, but no big deal. So you put it on here and you want it to cross the center line of your wheel, which is going to be the bolt. And then if you want to be exact, go down a little farther past, the thickness of half the thickness of your steel. Anyway, you just got to be close. Like this is pretty close. So this is what I do. If you don't have an adjustable rest or an adjustable wheel, it's going to make it a little bit harder. But the whole point of this is when you're using the wheel, it seems to cut a little faster and you're not generating heat like on a platen, and you're not wearing out your hardware and all that good stuff. So I like to do it with the contact wheel. So put that on, get this to where I want it, lock it down, and then basically what we'll do, we'll turn this on and then we'll just start grinding to the lines that we drew on here. So I have my mask on, so I may be a little muffled. I apologize for that. If you have a little stick, this kind of helps to hold it in place. That way when it gets warm, you don't have to burn your fingers. So on the flat, you'll just push it in there until you get to your line. Pretty simple. So you can see that we're right up to our line there. Go a little farther right there. So there we've got the entire profile cut, and you know, you can still touch it because no heat was generated. Anyway, there's like the curves right here. I'm going to clean up with a small wheel, but essentially it's done. And then I'll take this onto the flat platen and kind of roll it so we know we have a nice curved edge instead of having bumps in it that we don't want there. Now I'm going to get the curves up by the choil, beginning of the handle, the bolster, whatever you want to call it, with the small wheel. It'll make a better line than I can get with trying to use the edge of the contact wheel. So the last step of the profiling is going to be on the flat platen, because I like to make sure there's no bumps in the profile, especially on the cutting edge. I will kind of clean up all the burrs running this way, and then I'll go through here and do a nice little sweep to make sure it smooths out the curves of all the the edges and then the spines and everything, just so we don't have any bumps. So I have an 80 grit on here, and then I'll run these knives through that 80 grit. So here they are after surface grinding, profiling, and just in general kind of cleaning things up a little bit. So we have the 11-inch brisket, the 6-inch, we're a little over 6 on there, but I can't imagine he's going to complain. The 6-inch Santoku, the 8-inch chef, and the 3.5 paring knife. So these are surface ground to about 1/8 of an inch. It'll come down a little more once I clean up the surfaces. And then we went through and used the contact wheel, the flat platen, and the small wheel to profile. So we'll call that good here. Next video, I'll drill some holes, clean things up a little bit more, and heat treat and rough grind and stuff like that. So I hope that this has helped, and we'll see you in the next video.